Nathan, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
I'm so excited that you are here. Just for everyone who does not, the last 5 minutes, I don't know what's going on, but we have just been laughing so hard at nothing. So we're going to do our best to get through this episode.
We've been up for a while.
Yeah,
We've been up for way
today.
too long. But having said that, I apologize to anybody as they're listening. If we lose it, we'll do our best to keep it together. So anyway, Nathan, for those people who don't know you, go ahead and give a rundown of, kind of your story. You are at PCC, you're a senior this year.
Yeah.
And you have some aspirations to get into commercial real estate down the road. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll dissect and follow some rabbit trails here.
Yeah, so going to college at PCC, just turned 21 a few months ago. Staying appropriate, though.
Yes, 100%.
So yeah, double majoring, marketing and management. That's been going well so far. Lots of good exposure in professional selling, tons of different finance courses, investing. So it's been good exposure just to the whole business world in general, which is solid. I think being able to have a general idea of what you want to do out of college, especially someone like me, I want to eventually work for my own self someday rather than under someone. Just having the whole skill set is kind of a good
A
jumping
broad
ground.
knowledge base.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's so important to be well-versed in a lot of topics and a lot of, when you're a business owner, and I feel like as a realtor, there's a lot of realtors who consider themselves business owners, and they're not really. They really have a job, if we're being honest.
Yep.
But regardless, you're in charge of marketing and accounting and lead gen and follow-up and all these different things. It's important to have a lot of, just the books alone, it's important to have a good base.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I feel like, after just a couple of semesters there, I have a good enough base, but I wouldn't have minded getting a little more, I didn't take that many accounting classes or finance classes. So I definitely feel like some of the exposure that you've gotten is definitely valuable. Now, so you've been there for almost 3.5 years now.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite classes that you've taken?
Yeah. So
I
actually,
apologize. I didn't even let you finish your story. We're just
that's
jumping
all
into
right.
questions already.
I would say one of the favorite ones I took originally back when you were at college is professional selling. We got to actually go out to businesses and sell ads for the PCC yearbook, which was a fun experience because you got to cold call people and do the whole process start to finish, write up the ad script and everything. So
yeah.
it was good.
And just from that one class, just with internships that you've had while at school or in between times, you've already used that experience. And I feel like that it definitely helped me a lot too. Professional selling, shout out to Lonnie Smith. That was a really good class.
Yep.
He was the teacher, and I feel like he was just very real and just like, hey, this is what you need to expect. This is what's going to happen.
You should get him on the podcast sometime.
He's on my list.
Is he?
I would love to.
Yeah,
get him
Evan
on.
mentioned that too, actually.
Yeah. Him and I think Mark Hassel I would enjoy having on as well. Mark's a high energy guy, so I think I'd enjoy having him on. Lonnie Smith, I think I'm actually connected with both of them on LinkedIn, so I may just have to shoot him a message.
The class I have this semester with Lonnie Smith is small business entrepreneurship. So we actually get to take the process start to finish, from writing up your whole business plan, your mission statement, everything, your marketing section, how you're going to market your whole product. And then we just finished writing our income statement.
Wow.
So just getting all those details down. And it's a good experience because it's like you think, okay, I'm going to have this much cost per project that I'm doing, and then you realize, oh wait a second, I've got 25,000 different things. So you got to tally up and realize, all right, instead of positive 150,000 a year, I'm actually short $2,000 or whatever.
Yeah, interesting.
If that, but it's a good experience.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. just getting that overall view of the business as a whole.
Yeah,
that's exciting. So I guess for people who don't know, you and I were roommates for one semester in the very beginning of sophomore year. I'll just give a brief overview. So we met because we were in the same collegian, taking a lot of the same classes, and we just found out that we were pretty much like-minded people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like rooming in that room with you that semester, really, I was doing a lot of other things in addition to school that semester, but I feel like just being able to come back to the room at the end of the day and bounce ideas off you and talk about goals and stuff like that really helped me tremendously. And you've been a valuable person in my life ever since for the last, year and a half. So I love that.
We took business law together, which was a fun class. That involved us memorizing. It was essentially a test a week of what at least 20 to 50 terms, depending on
every single class period. It was 3 days a week, I think. Every class period, he'd give you like 10 to 15 new definitions to learn.
And the teacher was new that year. I think he had
it was his first
30
semester.
plus years of experience as a lawyer.
As a judge. Yeah, lawyer and then a judge. I think lawyer for 20 years and then judge for 10 years.
Wow.
So he was like throw the book at you kind of guy.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not trying to, he was not, teaching probably wasn't his strong suit.
But he had a lot of good experience by his belt.
He did.
So it was good to see the whole broad spectrum.
I feel like we learned a lot from him. And it was all the stuff was very definitions oriented. I may have explained this to you before, but all of our quizzes were like fill in the blank. They weren't multiple choice ever. So our final was like
230 something. Yeah. I think it was like 28 pages front and back.
I forgot it was that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just all the flashcards that we had done throughout the entire semester.
Yeah.
But jumping off of that to, what you're doing now, which is real estate, and I'm kind of looking to get into that industry myself. A lot of those terms you learn in your whole real estate license course, which is cool to kind of take that in college. You're like, how am I going to use this? And then actually apply it in real estate.
Yeah. I was doing contract management post-license course last week, and we were at Starbucks together, and I was like, I'm going through what a unilateral versus bilateral contract is, and I already know this. You know, it's exciting. So definitely, I feel like a lot of people can rag on college, but I think if you pay attention and really learn the subject material of the classes you're taking, that's a benefit right there. And then also, when we were talking before, I think there's a huge benefit to just figuring out what you want to do, in college and being exposed to a lot of different things, a lot of different niches in business and accounting and marketing and all these different things. And then also like the time that we were able to spend together, you're surrounded by people who are very like-minded and you get to kind of figure out who your friend group is and grow from that.
So did you always want to get into commercial real estate, like specifically when you started college? Was that always your end goal? Or
so before college, actually, I was doing aerial photography with drones as a 17-year-old, also working at Chick-fil-A pretty much full time. So those were kind of my two experiences before college. And the biggest thing I learned is photography is super fun. I love being creative, but it's not scalable realistically. And I wanted to be in some industry where eventually I could be, the CEO and have a team of who knows how many people and you're all working together, scaling the business. And that's when I was like, all right, college and photography would be super fun, but I'd be wasting my time and my money if I'm just doing photography major.
For your specific goals.
Yeah. So 100%. I kind of considered a bunch of different other routes. And then my dad's been in the whole commercial real estate industry for the last 25 years. And a lot of the big top companies in the US. So I think I kind of just was like, all right, I'll stick with marketing and management. That gives me a lot of open doors to a lot of different places.
For sure.
And I would say it's probably the last 2 summers interning for 2 of the largest commercial real estate companies where I've really solidified, all right, I think I want to do this officially.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, okay, why marketing and management? I know you said that'll give you broad exposure to, kind of a lot of different things. Why not specialize in something like finance or accounting?
True. Yeah. So, I mean, I love finance and I love, figuring out the best way to save money with credit cards and bank accounts and investing and all that type of stuff. But I figured, why not be creative in the marketing department, have the general, business majors get like 50% of the finance classes. So it's just enough to appreciate them all without like
have a
killing yourself in deep accounting and finance courses.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I appreciated. And it was almost luck after the fact because I met a lot of good friends in the finance department while we were taking finance classes, sophomore and junior year. And then now I don't have to do all the crazy hard finance classes, which I'm happy about. But at the same time, I have a huge appreciation and I know, how to read all the different financial statements, which is helpful as a business owner someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
But
okay. So marketing management, definitely. That's what I was doing too. That's why we were able to take our class schedule was pretty much the same. So I think that is, like you said, it gives you the most experience from a broad range of topics. Excuse me. So marketing and management, and you got one more semester of that, and then you're off and starting your commercial real estate
somewhere.
Yeah,
so the last summer I worked for Marcus & Millichap, which is number 3 in the nation, I believe, in commercial real estate. So they did last year, 2019, just under $50 billion worth of transactions.
Wow. That's billion with a B.
Yeah.
50 billion.
B.
That is bonkers.
It is. It is.
crazy.
It's crazy. And it's cool to be in an organization like that because you just get a lot of good experience. I was working directly with a new broker, so it was just me and him versus
Wow.
normal teams are, 30, 35 plus people. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a business inside of a business. You have a massive organization with a huge name.
Yep.
So that way, you've got really good name recognition when you're cold calling clients all over the U.S.
Yeah.
So this guy, he was starting out. He used to work with the second largest team, I believe, in the U.S. So they were doing I think $12 million worth of commission. So whatever
Commission. Wow.
whatever that bigger number is on top of that,
Yeah.
transactions wise. So yeah, they were
That's
raking in a lot of
dough.
money.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of money.
So he's now doing his own thing. So I got really good experience cold calling, lots of different database management stuff. So got to work really closely on Excel and a lot of big like real estate research sites. Land Vision is one of the big ones that you use just to find clients, find properties, and all that stuff. So
Okay.
it's kind of like the big version of Zillow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
Much more specialized. So you interned at Marcus & Millichap. How did you get that internship? Was your dad able to put in a good word for you?
So with Marcus and Millichap, I had initially the summer prior to that tried to get in, and they were kind of too busy to fit in one more person in the Scottsdale office in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
So I kind of was on their list, so to speak,
Gotcha.
for a
Okay.
whole year.
Wow.
And then
So then
followed
when it
up
came
with
time.
them in January, thankfully, before this whole pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And actually started working, I think, in March, just remotely at college before the summer, which was fantastic because I had like just enough exposure to not be let go when everyone moved to online and they didn't want to spend any more time with interns.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was super lucky.
That's a blessing. That's
Yeah,
huge.
it sure is.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. That's it's cool to have like little things like that where you're like, and this worked out perfectly
Exactly.
to lead here. So
Yeah.
you enjoyed your time at Marcus & Millichap. Yeah. You feel like you learned a lot.
Yep, it was solid. One of the bigger things I got to do is put together like email newsletters every day with all the different properties that are being listed on the market. Net lease and retail was our specific focus. So still doing that actually as of today. Just sent another email.
Cool.
But that's basically the only thing I'm doing really, interning still at Marcus and Millichap. And then we'll see. I've got 2 interviews lined up for December 1st, and then a few more coming up in the next few weeks, both with Marcus and Millichap, and then also another company, Matthews Real Estate Investment.
Okay.
And they
Yeah. And you just had a call with
are
them,
really
right?
cool
Today?
Yeah, I think they're fantastic because they are just under 6 years old and now number 8 in the nation.
Isn't in
That's
the
phenomenal.
nation number 8.
Yeah.
That is
It's intense.
insane. Intense. That's a
I
really
think,
good.
I think they're doing 16 billion or so, and I mean they're just under 6 years old, so they've got something going. And the cool thing is their founder, Kyle Matthews, worked at Marcus and Millichap I think 8 years ago, and then worked at a different
Branched off.
company, and then
Okay.
now officially started his own firm. And I think we just went over the 300 employee threshold. So I've been talking with a few different people in Nashville and Arizona both to potentially work with them, but they're intense.
yeah. Intense.
Yeah.
So describe a little bit about their schedule.
Yeah, so I was on a phone call today with one of the top executives there, and he sent me an email with just their like daily routine. And I was reading through it. It starts at 5 a.m. He's saying, "Agents wake up before the competition. Wake the hell up!" Exclamation point.
Wow. Isn't that crazy? He
That
showed me
is.
that and I was like,
Yeah,
5
we were
a.m.
freaking out in the car. It
Yeah,
was
we
cool.
were talking through this on the way here. And I just felt like I kept telling to him, and I feel bad because like you're trying to tell me about this commercial thing, and I'm like, well, what if you applied this to residential? But I kept thinking like, imagine if residential real estate agents treated their business, and that's what I'm trying to do. Imagine if residential real estate agents treated their business with that same intensity.
Yeah,
The whole
absolutely.
standard of the entire industry the bar would be raised.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So at 5 a.m., wake
And
up.
Obviously, they're trying to compete against massive firms. I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
biggest one, CBRE, is like 250 billion plus a year worth of transactions, which is
That's incredible.
a ton.
Yeah.
But
That's a
they're
quarter of
huge
a
at the same
trillion
time. So I
dollars.
mean, you're lost in the scheme of things working that high up. So I think for me, I want to be in that high tech, up and coming, but also competing with some of the top dogs all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a jet ski versus a yacht or like
yacht.
an ocean, like a barge. You're
Yeah.
much more. I
Exactly.
like that idea of a smaller firm where you can produce high and be part
Yeah.
of a cool organization.
So as a new employee in Matthews, so after 5 a.m., the next thing on their list is 5:25, walk to work. And they've got a bullet point talking about every agent should be living within a quarter mile of the office. So you can walk to work in the morning and save hours of your week, because you don't have to have a car theoretically. You don't have to pay for car insurance. Like, that's kind of intense to just think right off the bat.
All agents should live within a quarter mile. Imagine if Mark told me that, I'd be like, whoa.
That's
exactly.
phenomenal, man. That's
I know.
high intensity.
And you're essentially there from, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the evening, working 65 hours plus Monday through Friday.
Wow.
And then at 8 you go home. And from 9?
You have an hour to eat your food, 30 minutes to enjoy yourself, and then you better be in bed.
From 9 to 9:30 is personal time.
Wow.
And honestly, you're lucky if you even get that. Wow. That 30 minutes.
I mean, from
you
what
can
it sounds
half,
like,
half
sounds
an episode
intense.
of any show you want.
But they're all about just a really solid culture. When you're at the office, you're working with a ton of like-minded individuals. The main owner of the company, Kyle Matthews, he was talking about you have necessities in life like water and air and food and shelter. Those are the main things you need. But in his office, they want to hire people that have 5 necessities, the 5th one being the need to succeed, the need to be successful. Because in this industry, now, not everyone's going to work 65 plus hours a week.
I would say it's not everyone.
100% commission.
It's
hardly
anyone.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Interesting. So having said that, with the need to succeed and things like that, you have been an inspiration to me for a long time. Because of, you're somebody who always is trying new things, seeing, okay, what works, what doesn't. I feel like you're constantly testing, which is really interesting.
Pushing your limits.
So tell us a little bit about your schedule over this past summer, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So this summer, that was kind of the main time I was getting to work with Marcus and Millichap. But I figured, we're in the middle of this huge pandemic. We have a lot of extra time on our hands. How can I come out of this ahead of everyone else, or at least being able to say, all right, I read this many books, I learned this many things, I worked out this many days a week, and now I'm a better person.
Versus going home and being like, this summer's going to be like a movie. And
exactly.
then the summer
you
comes to an
binge
end.
watch all your episodes, and you're like, wait, what happened?
Yep.
When was
just wasted it.
Last week? Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Exactly.
Or, you just lose sense of time. So yeah, I have a lot of friends in the central time zone, which is 2 hours ahead of Arizona time, since they don't really ever change. So I was pretty much in Pacific time for this summer. And I figured, why not wake up at 3:30 in the morning
3:30
and be able to be on top of everyone else who's 2 hours ahead of me, which works out fantastic for my internship because I'm calling people all over the U.S. So that means it's 5:30 over there in New York.
Yeah.
So
gives you a lot more availability.
Yeah, exactly.
To be able to contact and
when you weren't calling that early though.
Surely. No, the earliest I was calling was like 6, which is 9.
Okay,
which
gotcha.
Is late, crazy.
Yeah. Man, I mean, 3:30 in the morning. That's intense. That is crazy.
Yeah, and it was kind of just a personal thing. Like I wasn't trying to brag to anyone at all, and I don't really tell anyone. It's just I'm waking up early so I can be ahead of the whole competition. Plus, by the time you hit noon, I mean, you've been awake for like almost 9 hours.
That has been how I've been feeling. It's been like 2 weeks now. I think that we've been waking up. Maybe even a little longer, that we've been waking up super early.
Yeah, it's been longer.
Yeah,
it's been longer.
It's been almost 2 weeks for me waking up at 4:30, and I don't every day. Like sometimes, typically on Wednesday or Thursday, I'm ready to sleep in at least a little bit. Yeah. But it's funny because when I wake up at 6:30 now, I'm like, oh, I slept in. Oh my goodness! And it's like that's early. That's a great that's early.
Making that adjustment.
But when you're awake at 4:30, I pick you up at 5:20. Or 5:25, whatever it is. We're at Starbucks by 5:35, and then by the time people start coming in for their 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock coffee, you're like, I've been here for 3 hours already.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
So much done. It's crazy, and a part of that, like we've always been trying to wake up earlier. You and I used to keep each other accountable for that, but I feel like I've always been on like an early morning schedule for a couple of days, and then I'm like, I much prefer staying up later. This is the first time it's been sustained, and part of that is because I'm like, if Nathan can wake up at 3:30, I should be able to wake up at 4:30 or 5:30, whatever it is. I should be able to get this done. So what time were you going to bed at night? I mean, what was your routine like?
So because of that, I was kind of just mentally 2 hours ahead of my Arizona schedule. So 7 o'clock in the evening equals 9, which 9 isn't that bad. But going to bed at 7:30 is making sacrifices in the free time department. But at the same time, like any time after 6 o'clock in the evening, you're tired because you've been up since 3:30. What else are you doing? nothing productive.
Yeah.
So I found, that time in the morning from like 3:30 to 6, I mean, you could make yourself a fantastic breakfast, work out, like enjoy. Arizona is like 90 degrees by 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. That was another reason for waking up so early, because you could enjoy that little bit of 70s before it gets too hot.
Nice and cool in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So you would wake up and
just a really good morning routine.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Just really refreshing. And then you're starting your day by like 6 or 7, already totally ahead of everything else. You don't feel rushed. You're not throwing on clothes, getting ready to work.
You feel like you're behind the 8 ball. You feel like you're in a reactive
Exactly.
state all day.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've been doing recently is when I get to Starbucks, I'm taking like at least an hour, maybe 2, and doing, my post-license course, like learning about real estate, learning about the industry. And by the time I am finished with that kind of personal development and I start transactional work, it's still 6:30 or 7, and I'm still an hour ahead. I'm having to wait and set an alarm on my phone so I can actually text people at 8 o'clock when I know they'll be at work.
Yeah.
It's so valuable. So you decided to wake up at 3:30 more just like for you to be ahead of the competition. You're interning at Marcus & Millichap. You just wanted that edge, and you just wanted to see.
Exactly. Yeah. It was just kind of a test. Like the whole summer was a test. Just how to build yourself in other areas. So like I'm a hard gainer. It takes forever to gain weight. So just eating extra calories. But I mean, you have all this extra time on your hands to cook your own meals. I mean, and if you're up that early, you can have first breakfast, second breakfast.
Yeah.
First lunch, second lunch.
Wow.
So that definitely helps too. And it's when you have that extra time, you have more freedom to, cook a meal and then also listen to a podcast or a audiobook, which was another big use of time.
Yeah.
Since you're at home over the whole summer. And I mean, anytime I wasn't really on a phone call, just doing database management or sending out emails, I'd try to listen to new books if possible.
Yeah.
So that was another point. I think I got through 14 this summer.
Okay.
Wow.
14 books.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
No, it's been good.
I apologize. I feel like I really got something in
That's
my
all
throat.
right.
What were your 2 favorites? What were your 2 favorite books that you read over the summer?
That's hard. I was just going to pull up my
list
list
of books.
just to like mentally kind of look back, because it's been a while.
Yeah.
But James Clear wrote a really solid book on kind of personal productivity, time management. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, take your time.
Clear Habits, something like that. Atomic Habits.
Atomic
I've read
Even a
that
better
book.
name. Yeah.
Atomic Habits.
I know. I think we talked about it earlier this summer. But it was really solid, just talking about what habits are. I mean, we know what habits are, but how do you
How are they
really
actually
look at
formed?
them from a top-down view?
How
And
do you
how do
break
you
it down
break
and
bad
form?
habits? How do you add in new habits?
Correct.
He talked about habit stacking, which was just a cool way of, let's say you want to do 30 push-ups a day. Let's set a low goal here. After you make your bed in the morning, then you do those 30 push-ups. So you don't have to think about it. You don't actually have to plan a time randomly throughout your day. You just automatically get into a morning routine of do this, do that.
Yeah.
And that really saves you time.
Yeah.
Which is solid.
Well, because I feel like a lot of time management is procrastination. That's one thing. Like obviously, college students always have trouble managing. Is putting projects off and waiting till the last minute and stuff. And when you set a time, okay, this is when I have to get this done. Obviously, you're gonna have more time because it's just you're getting it done.
Yeah, you're cutting out all that space in between time where you're trying to convince yourself, maybe scrolling on Instagram for a couple minutes.
Yep. Trying to psych yourself up.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing too, just the same kind of thing. I've been doing a lot of research the last few days on just systematizing, just having a system for every single thing that you do. We talked about that this afternoon.
Yeah.
Danny and I did. I was like, I want a system for every single thing. If a buyer sends me an address, I want a system for going into the MLS, pulling out the PDF, getting the agent's name and number, asking them the same questions. Hey, how old is the roof? What are we looking at? I want a system for every single thing,
just a
because
template.
A template.
Yeah,
Exactly.
template.
And that's
Great.
Notion has helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, this is a shameless plug for Notion.
Yeah.
They
It's
should
this
sponsor us sometime.
productivity. Yeah, I'll try and get them to sponsor
them
us,
and Monster.
because and Monster too. We've had a Monster. I've had a Monster in every single episode.
Yep.
But Notion, it's like a database spreadsheet hybrid where you can have your templates, or you can have an entire spreadsheet, but every cell is its own page. So I can have an entire Excel spreadsheet of data, and then open up each individual cell into its own page, have templates for that. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So with that, and with unlimited document storage and all this stuff,
Yeah.
within each page in a cell, I can have a spreadsheet of all my deals, with each cell being its own page with its own template for listings and for buyers, and unlimited document storage. All this crazy stuff inside. Just
Which
this
you're getting
one.
organized pretty well right now. We're
Yeah,
already,
well, I've
you
spent
know,
the last couple of weeks just not trying to spend too much time on it, but figuring out what works for us in the business. And so having templates for everything means we can bring in someone who doesn't know us or the business and plug them in and say, hey, this is your job. Just follow this checklist, follow this template every single time. And it's to the exact same standards that we've set for the business.
Yep.
It's so powerful. It's awesome. And I would love to have that same kind of thing in my personal life. A template for, every morning I wake up and do this, 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 and this, and have a habit where you don't even have to think about it.
Yep.
I think that's so interesting. So that's that whole habit stacking thing that you were just talking about. And that's just such a long rant. I love Notion so much. And I feel like it's helped me tremendously. You're the one who showed me about
And
it.
it's hard to explain to people sometimes.
is.
It's like, oh, what's the difference between a normal app and this? And I mean, you can write all your thoughts down and put them on paper, but if they're not organized and they're not like top of mind popping up
Yes.
in good categorized sections, I mean, what's the use of having an entire
Yeah,
knowledge bank?
It's just like having a
hidden
scrap
away,
of paper
you
that's
know?
lost somewhere in your office. It's somewhere in there, but if it's not organized, to where you can go into a file folder and open it right up where you need it, then what's the use?
No, exactly.
Yep.
So that's enough of my plug on Notion. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Maybe I'll do a solo episode sometime just talking about how I manage my business. That'd be a YouTube video or something.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
We'll lean into that.
Every
more
now
in
and
the
then we try to
future.
throw out one of those, shhelpful short YouTube videos that people can.
But for
benefit
now,
from.
I haven't been able to do that many solo videos. We've only done one because there's
Plenty
so
of
many
guests
people.
booked.
A bunch of guests booked. A bunch of people that I'm like, oh, and today I just added 2 more on the list. I'm like, I would love to have them on the podcast.
Yep.
So it's pretty exciting. But having said that, so you are somebody that uses LinkedIn, and this is completely off topic, and I'm just throwing this at you, but
That's great.
I've not used LinkedIn much at all, but I know you have been pretty active on it. Have you used that? I know you've used that to, like, in Marcus and Melachap to connect with different people. Explain your process a little bit and how you have used LinkedIn and leveraged for your benefit.
Yeah, so I think most college students kind of view LinkedIn as this extra social media that I'm supposed to be on in order to maybe get a good job someday. And while that's definitely kind of the low level use of LinkedIn from just an average college level perspective, I think the moment you start actually connecting with people, it's the professional way to stay on top of what people are up to. I mean, you can download your whole resume into that, and then you've got tons of job recruiters that can just pull up keywords, and if you fit that criteria, boom, you're in there.
you.
Yeah.
And especially for professional businesses like Marcus and Millichap, they were talking about earlier, the company I worked for the prior year, CIM Group, they're also another commercial real estate company, just meeting a bunch of people and then being connected with them on a professional site rather than just Instagram or Twitter seeing who knows what. That's just a really good way to stay on top of the business world, what people are up to. And then especially just as a college student looking to get into commercial real estate, I mean, the moment you get to that 500 connections mark, you know a good amount of people that also know a good amount of people that can connect you to a good amount of people.
Yeah.
It's
chain reaction.
That was kind of my goal.
Snowballs for sure. Every person that has their own network and group that could potentially help you. That's so interesting. I mean, we talk about it a lot. The power of networking, man. It's the more people you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows that, but it's hard sometimes. It's that same thing we were talking about at college, before we hit record. Well, actually we had hit record, but we lost the audio file. But just extroverting yourself at college and meeting new people, and those new people that you meet, maybe they know different people who are the same kind of person, and it spider webs into something that is way bigger than you ever would have imagined or thought it would be. And sometimes you meet somebody and you think they're a really nice person, but I'll probably never do anything with them ever again. And that's okay, but.
Well, and it's cool because like even you rooming with Ethan Himka, who's with Ethan Himka Graphics, like he's a solid person that can help with, logo design and just anything you need. It's solid.
And he helps manage the social media account too. So he's right there on hand to work with us.
Yeah. And you introduced me to him just because one day we went to breakfast early, and him and his friend Tim Hunter were there, and I met him and I was like, oh, he's a cool guy. And then down the road, it was like, oh, Ethan. And then I reached out to him, same thing. And it's exciting. He helps me with everything. He did my story highlights for Instagram. He helps with the posts.
It's fantastic.
The other day we asked him to do like a new, just an actual sheet of paper for sellers to fill out, like check boxes if
like
you
an
have a
information sheet.
central electric heat system, or just everything. I'm like, hey Ethan, can you help with this? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he's right across the hall. It's really, really nice.
And I remember going to lunch with him, and he was like, yeah, I just started this graphic design Instagram account with,
I remember when he
250
first started
followers.
it too.
And now he's what,
23, almost 24,000.
24,000 followers.
Which is crazy.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's had posts go viral above, 150,000 views.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which
is I feel like I'm rooming with a celebrity. It's crazy. I know. It's cool.
Sort of.
So yeah, and I mean, even that, he's just been consistent over a long period of time, which is exciting.
Tying it all back to the networking thing with LinkedIn. Just even personal connections, like we've met at college together. Same thing with LinkedIn. You can just kind of thumbtack that person to your mental board, and you're like, all right, I know you're in this industry, and you'll get updates if they, have a anniversary at their company. They've worked there for a year.
Them and say congratulations.
Exactly, and it's just being able to touch base. And I mean, this really applies to you and me too with real estate. Every year, like the house anniversary date, I'm sure you've will text your past clients. Happy.
Yeah, we're in the process of writing handwritten notes to all of our past clients who bought a year ago or whatever.
That's another system that
that's something else we're working on.
Yeah. So
I love that, man.
Have I talked about my small business entrepreneurship class? I think I have, right?
You brushed over it.
Okay.
You brushed over it.
I feel bad because we had recorded for a little while. For everybody who doesn't know.
Well, at the beginning you were talking
I talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
part of my income statement, I allotted like a certain amount of money towards just client relationship building, where taking people out for coffee.
It's so important.
And then being able to send them personalized notes. Thank you for business. That's just one extra level of standing out.
Yeah. Professionalism.
Well, that's we had talked about. I used Mark's accountant for last year, and they sent me just a typed note with my accountant had just signed at the bottom, and it basically said, "We're excited to have you as a client. We believe that the success of our clients is inherently tied to our own success. We want to give you the highest level of service possible. We appreciate you." And I came in the mail and I opened it up and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Yeah. This is so cool.
Stands out.
And immediately I took a picture and I was like, okay, how can I do this in my business? Like, how can I replicate this? And I think it's reaching out to your clients and making them feel like, hey, we see you and we appreciate you and we value you as a client and we want to do future business with you. Most businesses don't do that. It's so interesting to see how many people are just kind of haphazardly just run through and just kind of fly by the seat of their pants for everything. And the same thing comes back to the time that they wake up. They wake up whenever they feel like they can and not get in trouble. And then they're being reactive the rest of the day. And I just think it's so important to be waking up at a time when you can determine how your day goes, and then you have time for everything else that's important to you as well.
So this is completely, I would say, off the cuff. I just started thinking about it a few minutes ago. So you diving into it was the Matthews company, you said, and they have obviously these incredibly high expectations of their employees, which is phenomenal for a guy like you who can pursue excellence. So in your future plans, how hard do you want to push for how long? Like, do you have any concept of like,
where are
how
you
many,
headed?
What's that looking like? I guess I'm just wondering. So would you go work for them for a few years, or would it be a consistent career that you branch out of?
So that's the thing I'm trying to just figure out, because I mean, time is a valuable resource that you can never get back. You can always earn more money, but you can't ever earn more time. You're locked into who knows how many years of your life that you've been blessed with. And that could end at any second. So part of me wants to just fully dive into working, 65 plus hours a week and kind of get ahead on the front part so you can enjoy the latter part sooner rather than later.
Delay that gratification.
I definitely agree.
I think delayed gratification and then just setting yourself up for success is a much better mentality than, my future self will take care of me, like pushing off all the hard things to your future self.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of putting it, actually. A lot of people depend on their future self to do the work that they should be doing right now.
I think that's kind of a poisonous mentality that it's part of the American dream. It's almost like a given that's what you're going to do, when in reality it should be the other way around. You're young, you're capable of working now. That's interesting.
I think James Clear in his book Atomic Habits talks about basically writing your future self into a person that you can like see on paper, so to speak. Like, what is your future self? Are you, this successful? How many kids do you have? Are you married? Are you living in a house? Do you have this much money? Or have you invested this much money? And just kind of visually seeing like, all right, my future self is this person that I want to be. And then viewing your current self as like a slave towards your future self and your future goals.
Wow.
And that's just an amazing mentality switch from like, oh, I'll let my future self take care of that hard, massive 20-page paper I have due. Or if I'm going to make my future self successful, I better write, 3 pages a day.
Yeah.
And that way I have a week before the due date to look at it and,
refine it.
make it an A paper.
Yeah.
And
wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I think that echoes what you were talking about with how important time is. That's great.
Yeah.
That's good advice for anybody,
Well, and it all comes back to time management.
It
too,
sure does. Yeah.
Yeah.
The importance that you learn in college.
It all ties together. And that's something that I've seen or I've heard multiple times on other, shows or from other people that I respect. Everything in your business life and your personal life, when you can't grow one without the other.
Yeah.
You can't grow your business without having your personal life buttoned up and acting how you should,
Yeah.
And it's kind of a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but also when you're becoming that person who, like you said, on paper, this is the person I want to be. If you're becoming that person, then, if you want to have that business that future self has, you have to be the kind of person who would attract that kind of business. And the same thing applies to everything, man. Dating,
Yeah.
Friendships as well. What if I want these kind of friends? What kind of person would those friends be hanging out with?
Yep.
Would they be hanging out with somebody who's like me, or do I need to make some changes?
Yeah.
And I think
That's
it's about
exactly
taking
right.
responsibility.
I think it's been said, like, you're the average of the top 6 people you spend your time with.
Yep.
So if those people are lazy, chances are you're going to be super lazy with
Yep.
them. And if those people are successful, you're going to be in the same boat,
Yep.
which is exciting and terrifying.
It
Yeah,
is.
it sure is.
Yep. Because I hang out with this guy all the time.
Yeah. Seriously.
I think it's so important to have people around you who are, driven by the same goals as you, which everyone at this table is. And then also it's important to reach up for people too, for good influences that can, help you get to where they are, which is where you want to be. I think that's so important.
Mentorship, seeking counsel, seeking advice.
Yep, exactly.
I think and that's the other thing that, talking about college, because you're wrapping that up now, but a lot of college students don't understand. They think going to college and they'll get that degree.
It's about getting through.
Yep, getting through, and they don't excel like you obviously are. They're not learning the important life lessons. They're just learning what it takes to get the degree.
Yeah, how much work do I have to do in order to get that degree?
Slide by,
how much work can I get away with not doing?
Yep.
Like how much can I have a good time and party with my friends, or not party with my friends? How often can I go to the sports center
and work out with my friends?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is interesting. Like, just the culture today is teen is a new word as of the last, few hundred years. Before that, you were either a kid or an adult.
Yeah.
There was no in-between middle ground where you wasted half of your life,
Wow.
Playing video games or hanging out with friends or partying with friends or wasting your Friday night, Saturday night.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that for a long time. That's a great reminder.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it is a good reminder to, are you still a kid or are you an adult?
Yeah.
And
It's
are you
one or
headed
the
that
other.
way?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, there's some people in my life who I feel like they should hear that, but also it's a good reminder because it's like, well,
yeah,
it's not for other people, it's for me. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so having said all of that, then we talked about kind of your future plans, your time at college, your internships and what you've learned and just some of your good habits you've been building. So having said all of that, all of those serious topics, what do you enjoy doing for fun? What do you just enjoy doing? If you have a few free hours, are you, what are you doing? I think I already know most of the answers to this, but.
Yeah. So, I think it's always physically good to be working out because that's like one of the biggest ways to de-stress. I think it beats all medical pills, hands down. I think that's been proven by doctors.
And I've tried all of them. I can say it does.
Yeah, right.
Working out 30 minutes to an hour a day really changes your whole perspective on life. Just clears your brain.
Stress reducer. Yeah,
that's solid. And then I've also been doing aerial photography. Rise Productions AZ is my company that I've been doing this
Go
year.
follow on Instagram because
you
it's
should.
an enjoyable account to follow.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I'm scrolling through my page and I follow a lot of like Florida life pages and things, just, so I can appreciate where I live. And I'll see a post and I'm like, man, that's really nice. And I'll go back and I'm like, oh, that was Nathan's post.
Well,
so
I
it's very
appreciate
professional looking photography.
Yeah, I mean, I still enjoy photography and being creative on this side.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why not do an extra little side gig and some money?
For sure.
So,
And you have a female.
Yeah, I have a female.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see where that's headed, but trying to stay on course. There's so many areas that you're kind of in a corridor right now where you have like 9 doors and you can only go through like 3 or 4 of them, which is still more than one. Like most people are like, all right, I'm going through one door and I'm in this wonderful corridor of, all right, where do I go in life?
A lot
where
of
do I end up?
opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big responsibility check.
Yeah, it's a tough decision to make. When
Yeah,
it
it's
comes down
easy
to it.
up until this point in life. A lot of decisions are made for you, and you get to kind of flow along and do what you're supposed to be doing. And then there comes a point where are you a kid or are you a man?
Exactly.
And you got to make decisions.
Do you have
that
enough
a man's
money
gotta
to
make.
buy your own house, buy your own car, or
Yeah.
not? Or are you living off credit card debt? I'm
Yep.
not saying we're all perfect, but
Yeah.
it's a good thing to just be focused
reality
towards for
check.
sure.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah. And other than that, just networking with friends. I've been spending a lot of my time this semester focused on networking with other companies. So yeah, I have about 4 interviews scheduled in December,
That's
which
exciting.
is exciting. But that's kind of been my goal starting this semester. Like I didn't want to, do this extra fun hobby on the side. I wanted to focus on actually getting a real job that's going to pay for everything the moment you get booted out of college.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think a lot of people get close to the end of college and then they're like, oh, I got to find a job, and I think it's so important to start thinking about it way earlier, way in advance. And you have been doing internships and trying to set yourself up to have something lined up for after you get out of school. That means that you have, the further away from graduation you start looking for your job, the better options you have and the more you can pick and choose. And that's important, because that's what you're going to be doing for a lot longer than when you're in college.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So you graduate this coming May. Are you excited?
Yep. I think so. I'm kind of excited just to start real life, not necessarily to be done with the easy life that it's amazing to me to hear so many people talk about the good old days when they were in college.
No. Danny and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
I hate that mentality. And if somebody listening is that way, I'm really sorry. Move on. Go do something new that excites you.
Yep.
Because the college is not the good old days. Wherever you're living right now, these are the good old days.
Yeah.
And it's that quote from The Office, I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you've left them or whatever it is. Stop.
Well, that's the thing.
You're in the good old days.
You're either living or you're dying.
Yeah.
So if you're saying the good old days, that means you're dying.
That means that you've just given up on whatever your life is now.
Still focused forward.
I used to play ball in college.
Your
and
focus
I tore my
is
ACL. But we would have gone to state that year. Yeah. And I almost could have gone pro.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
You're not gonna go pro. Sorry. I feel like I'm very aggressive sometimes towards those kind of thought process mentalities. Yeah.
We have hundreds of thousands of listeners on this podcast. So.
Yeah. So I got to be careful what I say.
Lots of people to offend.
All 35 people who will hear this episode, if you're irritated, DM me on Instagram because you probably all follow me. So
we can discuss it there.
Yeah, we'll discuss it there. So cool. Having said that, well, Nathan, where can people find more about you? On LinkedIn, Instagram?
Yeah, LinkedIn, just look me up, Nathan Holmes. Instagram, same way, Nathan Holmes Official. There's only one Nathan Holmes.
Only one Nathan Holmes. And that is the truth. Honestly, that is the truth.
But I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great,
I appreciate you jumping on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And, we'll probably do one more of these before you graduate next year. We'll follow up and we'll see what worked out and what your plans are.
Yep.
So
that's right.
Awesome.
All right, Nathan, appreciate you.
Thanks so much.